Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's Kevin Forte, and today we have to take a look at this Alex Debrincat trade rumor swirling. It is going off right now. Over the last couple of days, we've seen the highs and now kind of getting into the low points of this Alex Debrincat, trade contract scenario saga. And, it sounds like the Ottawa Senators are obviously not in the picture here, as the Ottawa Senators have allowed his agent and Alex Debrincat's camp to be looking around to see what kind of contracts they can get from other teams. And the interesting thing is, a lot of teams aren't willing to go the term that Debrincat wants, which is actually a short-term deal. A lot of teams want to sign Debrincat, they want to lock him up, and to be honest, that makes a lot of sense. When you consider the fact that this is a guy that, if he wants to be a free agent in a couple of years from now, well, there's not a lot of, it's not necessarily worth trading so many assets and pieces for a guy that might leave your team in 2 or 3 years. You really want stability. You want some security from a guy like Debrincat, and it doesn't sound like Debrincat or his camp are really willing to go down that route. So, obviously, the big rumor on July 1st was, and it was on Saturday, was the news around Debrincat to the New York Islanders. Now, apparently there was a lot of rumors swirling, so take with this a grain of salt, but there is something to be said about this. Apparently, Debrincat was actually touring around Long Island. There was some conversations that he was looking around at housing to see kind of what was available out there for him. There's been rumors that he's been looking at, what the trade package could look like. Potentially guys like Noah Dobson, Oliver Wahlstrom, Jean-Gabriel Pageau, just to name a few. And really the key factor here is the Islanders moving salary out and also the Senators getting some value brought back in. Now, obviously, the idea of Pageau going back to Ottawa is a wet dream for Senators fans, right? Because they loved Jean-Gabriel Pageau and what he brought to that franchise. It's no real surprise that that would be in the conversation, and especially for Senators fans now, all of a sudden the idea of Erik Karlsson coming back, it's kind of the fad right now to be bringing back former Senators that kind of wanted to sign in Ottawa, but, rest his soul, Eugene Melnyk just didn't want to give the contracts out. So now that there's a different regime there in Ottawa, there is a sense that guys like Pageau or Karlsson could want to come back, and the idea of Pageau coming back obviously would be a fan favorite, and it also allows the Islanders to free up the cap space to sign Debrincat to the contract that they would like to. So there's a lot to that. Now, obviously, nothing materialized at that point, and nothing has since materialized up to this point, but it is apparent that, according to Alex Debrincat, he's looking for an 8-year extension worth $8.7 million per season. That's from Darren Dreger. Teams he and his camp have spoken with are offering between $7 and $7.7 million per season currently, so nothing is close on the trade front and likely won't be for a little while longer. And the other sentiment out there was he's looking to have a contract that takes him till the 2025-2026 season. So I think that Debrincat's still trying to figure out exactly what's out there for him and which teams are out there that he wants to go long-term with, right? Because let's say he does want to go to the Islanders. Maybe he's willing to go for an 8-year deal at somewhere between $8 and $8.5 million per year. That makes a lot of sense. Meanwhile, Arizona's throwing out offers. Yeah, we'll sign you for 2 years, but he doesn't necessarily want to go to Arizona, right? So those are the kind of conflicting things you have to look at here. And the way I look at the Ottawa Senators right now is I like the idea. If I'm a Senators fan, yes, I'm an Islanders fan, and that's obviously part of this too. But I like the idea of a defenseman like Noah Dobson, Jean-Gabriel Pageau, a young forward like Oliver Wahlstrom, and potentially a first-round pick, I would think, being in this package. It's actually not a bad deal going the other way to Ottawa for a guy that doesn't want to sign in Ottawa anyway. And it's similar to the Pierre-Luc Dubois situation. A guy that wasn't going to sign with you anyway, you get a really nice return in the deal coming the other way, and it makes it a little bit easier to digest. So the way I look at this right now, I think Alex Debrincat's considering a lot of different teams, specifically the no-state tax team. So as much as my Islanders talk is in here, I'm definitely going to be remiss if I don't mention teams like the Nashville Predators, the Dallas Stars, and the Vegas Golden Knights, all of those teams have been in the mix as well. So the no state tax teams are definitely on Debrincat's radar, and don't think that's by coincidence. That is definitely something that is being considered here. Now, the problem is with those teams, maybe other than Nashville, they don't really have the cap space to make it work for Debrincat. And that's similar to the Islanders situation, is there's just not the cap space to bring him in. So, if you want to go to a cup contender that has cap space and has the assets to make the deal, and that's going to be attractive enough or enticing enough for Ottawa, there's just a lot of different things at play. It's very complicated and convoluted, and that's kind of where you run into the issue where we are right now, where Debrincat wants out. He wants a nice contract somewhere else, and I think it's got to be a little bit of him willing to recede some of that value that he puts on himself. Say maybe if he goes from that $8.7 million per year down to maybe 8 or 8.2, yeah, he's making a little bit less money, but he's also going to be a place where he wants to be, and he's also going to get that max term deal. And I think he has to be willing to accept that if anything is going to get done here. And I think he is going to get a very nice contract. I just don't think it's going to be 8.7, to be completely honest. I think unless you're going to a team like Nashville or Arizona, that's not going to be on the table for him. It's not going to be in the cards. But then again, the issue is with a team like the Islanders, with the state tax in New York, well, he might walk closer to that 8.7 because a lot of that money is going to get taken out of his taxes. So maybe that's where Arizona or Nashville becomes attractive because, yeah, even if he's making $8 million per year, it's a no state tax state compared to New York and Long Island, where he's making 8.7, he's going to end up bringing home the same amount of money. And that's why the idea of signing in Ottawa has been kind of an issue for Debrincat here too. So there's so much to look at here, right? There's just so much to break down and look at. Honestly, like I said, I think the Islanders are really the team to look at here. But definitely, like I said, I'd be remiss if Nashville and Dallas and Vegas, and for some reason, if Arizona somehow jumps into that conversation, that's something to consider as well. But let me know what you guys think down below. What do you guys think of Alex Debrincat on his way out? Where do you guys think he'll land? Leave some mock trades. And of course, probably the biggest part of this, what do you think his next contract is going to look like? Is it going to be an 8-year deal, a 2-year deal, once the salary cap goes up again? Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Peace.